So I'm just going to leave the hotel, which is surrounded by gum trees. Makes me feel like home. I will go down to the visitor center and have a bite to eat at Muath's shop, Indiana Jones. And I didn't bring a hat this time, so I'll have to buy a hat. Adventure starts. I'll just go down to the Treasury today, I think. I don't feel up to it. I didn't take my drugs early enough, my painkillers, so it's just going to be a short walk today. I've arrived at the Petra Visitor Center. I didn't bring a hat with me, so I've just spent 8 JD at the Indiana Jones shop and purchased this very lovely explorer hat. So there's some trails here and we can see we're actually starting here at the horsey stables. We're going to go down to the sick. After the sick, we'll get to the Treasury. That's where I'll aim for today. And we'll see how we go. Magic. So after you walk through the little souk area, you head down to the gate where they will look at your Jordan pass and your passport. They'll often ask you for your passport. So let's head down there. So I've shown my Jordan pass. He asked me for my passport. Asked me what day it was, and I said it was my first, so maybe tomorrow when I come in he won't ask me for the passport. We'll just have to wait and see. As you walk down this first section of the path, you come to the Djinn Blocks from 50 BC to 50 AD, and they are freestanding sandstone blocks. Throughout Petra you will see the monuments, the spirit of folklore. The name was adopted by the blocks as the Petra Bedouins. Occupants believed that these monuments were the dwellings of Djinn, which was thought to inhabit the area. Today it's generally agreed that the monuments served as tombs or memorials to the dead. In Bab al-Sik, a little further down, you can see 3 Djinn blocks. And the next one we're going to come to will be the Obelisk Tomb. So we're walking up here onto the Obelisk Tomb, and it's obelisk because of the carving, the sandstone carvings at the top. So we've barely walked any distance. Let's keep going. So I've made it down to the Sikh entrance, and it's going to get a lot cooler as I enter down there. What you'll see over this way is the tunnel. And last year when the floods came, the raging water just came down here and picked up all of these large pebbles and took it with it. It was just an amazing sludge. It was, if you get a chance, have a Google the floods of, I think it was 2018. So that's the tunnel, the tricolum over there, and the entrance to the Sikh is just over this rise. Just down there, so I'll head down there now. So right from the beginning of the top of the Sikh, right down, there is this waterway, this channel. We'll have a look at that further down where there's actually got terracotta tiles lining it. You can see the evidence where it's on both sides. As you're walking down the Sikh and you've just turned the first corner, this is the tree that I call the leaning tree. It looks to be a bit sad. It looks to have broken off a little since the last time I saw it. but this is the indicators that when you're coming back up, that you know you're almost at the end of the Sikh. So that's an indicator that we'll look for when we're coming back. So this tree is about 1 kilometre from the visitor centre. It's coming towards 12 midday, so the sun is almost overhead. So there's not much shade. If you come early in the morning or earlier, the shade is the shadows are longer. Here's the buggies. The buggies cost an additional 20 or 50 JD. These ones seem to be being treated quite well. Sometimes they tear up. Continue walking, and here's another carving in the rock. There's some other smaller ones. So let's cruise down here into the shade a bit. So continuing to walk down, and here's the water channel again. Just gradually coming down the slope. Absolutely magic engineering feat. So we've come to some niches in the wall, and these are Sabinos Alexandros station. So according to the paperwork here, these set of sacred stone blocks were the work of a person called Sabinos, who was the master of the religion in honor of Drusares of Adara. Dara is now in Syria. He and other masters visited Petra in honor of Dashara in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. The main niches depict a domed Baitel of Dashara to the right and a deity Artigatus, two lions on the left. Artigatus, two lions on the left. That niche there looks as if it has a camel in it or something. Spectacular. Now, we're about to come to my favourite part, I think, of the Sikh, and it is the camel caravan relief. And if you were walking along here, you wouldn't notice anything, but if you take a closer look at this stone here, this stone has feet. And if you come a little further away from him, you can see that he has robes and a waist. But he's not alone. So if you look a little over to his left, you can see some more stones that are camel feet. Camels don't have 2 feet, they have 4 feet. Just behind it, another set, and another set. And if you look a little higher up here onto the cliff, you can actually see a rounded space, a rounded area, and that would be the body of the camel. And there's a camel caravan with the caravan leader here and his camels following him. And he is actually pointing into the direction down into Petra, where he would be bringing his wares. But if you look on this wall here, you can also see some small, I don't know, bumps in the wall. You'll find that they are the camels coming in the opposite direction. We'll walk down there and have a closer look at him. So when you've brought your camel caravan down here and you've unloaded your wares, you pick your camel and you go back in the opposite direction. And here he is. There's his feet, his back legs, his front legs, and his body. And he's heading back up the hill. So he's brought all of his caravan, his wares on his caravan, and he's heading back up the hill. The camel behind him, you can see that he has 2 legs down here and another 2 legs just there. So, and there's his body. It's a nice little round body, and he's heading back up the top because he's delivered his goods down to Petra and now he's coming back. So there's the camel coming down, and here's the camel going back up. So as you're walking, you can see fissures in the rocks, cracks in the rock where the water has carved its way through. So eventually this will fall away completely. Looking quite amazing there, quite ornate. When you're walking, it's really important to look every which way. That one there would be a kissing stone, I would say. But then looking at this one here, some little, oh good, thank you. Little niches there. Let's go and have a look at this kissing stone. I don't know whether it genuinely is a kissing stone. But what you can do is a person can stand on one side and lean over to the person on the other side.
Wait, you've been here already?
A few times. So when you're walking, you actually had this hard surface of big rocks, etc. And when you come to this soft sand area, that is your little indicator that the Treasury is not far ahead. Just up around the bend. Yes. Stop right there, heads up. So once you've moved from this hard section to this soft section, you're going to be greeted by the glimpse of the Treasury through the sick just here. So let's wander a little further. So as you exit the sick into the Treasury, you are greeted with this absolutely beautiful vista. Spectacular. No, thank you, sir. So I've made it down here to the Treasury. It's about 12 midday, so the sun is beating overhead. So it's not overly the most brilliant and comfortable, but I'm here, so this is where I have to keep powering on. I might get down to the Roman theatre next. Even here at the Treasury, there are just beautiful carvings just everywhere. And then there's this massive hole just carved out of the rock just there.